Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. I am Data, and with me is
Jamie,
Joe,
and Dak.
And this week we read 6 whole chapters. Lots of reading. We are reading Elantris, chapters 26 through 31, right through the end of part 1 and into the beginning of part 2 of the book. I don't know if you guys remember that it was divided into parts when we started, because that was half a book ago.
We did not.
Yeah.
Nope.
So everyone's like, oh wait, part 2, what?
It's like,
yeah,
we just said we're over 50% of the way through, and now we're dividing the parts up? What the hell?
yeah. It was a surprise too, because we read so many chapters, and so I'm like halfway through the reading, and I'm like, part 2. Wait, part 2? Oh, part 2. Okay, here we go.
Part 2? Oh.
In these chapters, we get some Sarene spirit action. Then Sarene goes back to her fencing teaching. Hrathen drinks a mysterious potion. Poison. It actually says poison. So Hrathen starts studying his books. And then things go horribly awry for Sarene's food handing out process when Sheor's men invade. After that, the king decides it's time to wipe out Elantris, and Sarene has to stop him. Hrathen gets thrown into Elantris, and finally, Hrathen and Iadon have to say goodbye to a friend. Hang on to something, everyone. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Feed the fire, set me free in this city of dreams. Push my mind into overload. Hack the wire, smash the gene in this city of dreams. We'll be immortal in the code. Mind into overload.
So yeah, 6 whole chapters this time. What did you guys think of these? I almost want to say action-packed. I don't know if action-packed is the right word, but there's definitely stuff happening. What did you guys think of these chapters?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, not hugely action-packed, but I really enjoyed the shorter chapters. I like getting the different viewpoints, like, sort of quicker. I feel like we've had, I guess, fairly long chapters from each viewpoint, which have been really good to get different information, but they could have been broken up a little bit. So I actually liked reading it this way. I was pretty surprised when Hrathen drank the poison. I was like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, he's gonna, like, a knives out sort of situation, or frame Dilla for his murder or something. And I was like,
That would be extreme, yeah.
That would be different.
That's a different way of doing it. I didn't expect it to go where it went, but I thought it was pretty cool. I'm enjoying the stuff about Sarene and Hrathen as well. We knew it was only a matter of time before Sheor's men attacked in some form, so I'm kind of glad we got that out of the way. I thought Iadon, he got his guards on that really fast. I don't know if he's just had a plan there ready to go to be like, yep, we're going to wipe out Elantris at any moment, but I thought, yeah, his action was really quick on that. I'm glad that they didn't destroy Elantris. I like that there's still, Sarene's kind of still interested in Hrathen and what's going on in there, so that will obviously unfold how it unfolds. Yeah, and then Hrathen getting himself into Elantris, that's bold. Yeah, I think we sort of know what he's trying to accomplish there, but I'm very interested to see how that unfolds and how our characters wind up on that side of the fence. But I really liked it. I thought it was a good read. Nice little, I guess, teaser type things as well. I like how Ian keeps popping up.
Right.
Occasionally I sort of forget about him, and then he comes back and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. I look forward to sort of seeing how they maybe can fix him. Maybe they fix Ian first or something. I don't know. And again, getting a little bit more information about the magic squares instead of triangles and things like that. I thought that was quite a good way to put it too. So I'm really looking forward to see where that goes. But yeah, I quite enjoyed these chapters. I thought they were really good.
I had the same thought as you about Iadon. Like, it's like, wow, he did that fast. But then I think you're probably right that he thought from the beginning that Sarene's outings were going to result bad. Everyone thought the first time she went in that the Elantrians were just going to kill them or something. So this is probably something he had in his mind from the beginning to be like, oh, when this goes wrong, I'll finally get to do that, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I didn't think he was that smart, to be honest, but
Well, yeah, okay, that's a good point, actually.
but having something in your back pocket in case your nobility that you've sent in there, or not that you've sent in there, reluctantly allowed to go in there, something happens to them, you're going to want to fight back pretty damn fast. It's not about Sarene, it's about everyone else that's in there. So, yeah.
Well, and she says that he's basically been looking for an excuse to get rid of Elantris for years, so.
Yeah. Oh, I loved her takedown of him as well.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
It's just a room everywhere. It's like, he's sitting crying in his office. Oh, what an asshole.
Gotta say though, on your point, it's like, yeah, good, like glad that he didn't destroy Elantris. Can you imagine if he did, and that was just the end of the book?
Yeah.
I was thinking
it could be the ending.
Well, this is pretty hard.
Be a real
hardcore
bummer.
ending, yeah.
It still could end that way.
Everybody died.
Just everybody's gonna die. Honestly, I was more interested in her idea that like Hrathen just kills himself. Like 50% of the way through the book, one of our three characters is like, I'm gonna kill myself and dies. That would be interesting.
He does that. Elantris is destroyed. Sarene is the only one of the three left. Just like, well, shit. End.
End. Yeah, that's the last line of the book. Oh shit.
Wow. Yeah, that would be something. These chapters were good. A lot of interesting twists and turns. So Hrathen getting to know Sarene more and more, and then you see her perspective of that same thing, and it's, again, Hrathen stuff is just a bummer. It's just like, oh, she might trust him, but she thinks he's hiding stuff, which he is. And then, of course, when everything goes to crap and she's like, you did this on purpose. And he's like, well, I mean, I'm so ashamed of myself for what's happened. Yeah, I guess I did. So that's a bummer. Hrathen drinking the poison, did not expect that. But here's the interesting part to me on that. It sounded like he had originally intended that for Dilloff. So
yep.
This kind of maybe lends credence to my theory that somebody did this, gave Hrathen the Shayad on purpose. Maybe this poison actually is known for doing that somehow. Because, man, what would have been worse than Dilloff becoming the thing he hated? And so he did it to himself. Because it seems strange to me that he would just, kill himself in that moment. Like, he would take the poison and be like, okay, I've just decided that I'm going to die now. It sounds like he knew he would become Elantrian, and then it's almost like he's testing his own faith. Now he's praying to Jadith to just turn him back. So if that's the case, then this poison exists and it can actually turn people into Elantrians, which is weird. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it just seems like too coincidental to me for him to have drank this poison and then he just happened to be taken by the Shayad or whatever. So that just seems like too much of a coincidence to me for sure, especially if he meant it intentionally for Dilloff. And the fact that he had 4 vials, I'm thinking, what did he intend with the other 3? Maybe Sarene, but then who else? Maybe Telri, or maybe Iadon, or I don't know. Anyway, so we've got that cool badass warrior monk stuff from Hrathen at the end too, which was cool. Like I said, I wish there was a whole book just devoted to that. And Sarene's sad, Hrathen's sad. I mean, it's just sad. So I'm hoping that things take a turn for the better. Maybe the Gjorn coming to Elantris and possibly becoming part of Spirit's group is going to be beneficial. Maybe this is how we finally get behind Hrathen, who's been our other person we've been following through the books. Maybe this is the turning point where he finally becomes a character that we're actually interested in seeing win, or seeing their plans come to fruition. So maybe that's where we're headed. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I could totally see that, as he's been the bad guy up to now, but he's also one of our 3 main characters. So it's like, maybe he's going to be a good guy, and that's why he's one of our main characters.
Yeah, no, good chapters. I'm honestly glad. I didn't realize till I was reading these chapters, but I've been sort of waiting for Hrathen to do something, because most of his chapters, for the last little while, like, aside from, you know, bringing the Elantrian in and bringing and saving him from being burned at the stake by Dilaf and then having to do it privately anyway, most of his chapters he's just been very introspective or just talking to people about getting his plans in motion. So it's nice that finally, like, we can see his plans starting to come into action in some way, and he's doing more than just like talking to the nobles, talking to Dilaf, thinking about his faith. I was glad that, like, he's actually starting to get in on the action now. He's becoming more involved. He's collided with Hrathen's story, which is cool. So now we'll see that aspect of it. I think that's probably my favorite part of these chapters, was seeing Hrathen get into the thick of things. The raid on the wagons, I mean, we all knew that was coming, and as soon as it did, I'm just like, Sarene's going to figure out that we were holding these people back, and she's going to be pissed. And yep, that's exactly what happened. And Hrathen just, yeah. I guess it's been sort of subtly hinted in the background all this point, but Hrathen just feels like a constant failure, and I feel like his trying to help people out is trying to make up for that. So now that's all come crashing down, and his own self-esteem issues. Like, I mean, yeah, he feels like a failure because if he was successful, he himself wouldn't feel the hunger and the pain, but he does. So he's like, okay, I'm letting myself down at least. But yeah, like, it was sad to see Salwyn go. Like, I don't feel we've gotten as attached to the side characters in this book as much as we did for the Mistborn trilogy. But once Salwyn was gone, I'm just like, oh shit, no, he was good. I liked that guy. He deserved better.
Yeah, I agree. Salwyn, he's one of the characters that I feel like you don't notice that much until he's suddenly gone. And it's interesting because in the annotation somewhere, Brandon's like, yeah, I didn't really intend for this character to have like as big a part as he ends up having. He was just kind of a one-note or one-off character at the beginning, and then I just realized that he like filled this need in the story, so he kept coming back.
Yeah, it's like one of those characters you don't really pay that much attention to, but when they're gone, you feel their absence really strongly. So.
I like your point, Dak, about Hrathen. It's like most of the stuff up until now that he's actually like done to make his plans move forward has been like off page or hinted at instead of us actually getting to read about it. So
exactly,
this is like the first time when we actually like see something happening.
Yeah, and he gets to show off more of his skills getting into the combat. And when Sheor's men came upon him and he just beat the shit out of him, I'm just like, all right, that's why people are afraid of this guy.
Right?
It's a very Thanos moment from Endgame. Spoilers if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, but at the end of the movie when Cap and Iron Man and Thor come out and see Thanos just sitting in the courtyard, and they're just like, what is he doing? And I was like, he's just sitting there. And then he just dominates the fight.
Yeah. That was a little more even of a fight than what happened in this, but yeah, he still pretty much dominates them. But these guys didn't have magic hammers and stuff, so, you know, how much can you do without that?
Raiden hasn't figured out the Aeon for lightening up this motherfucker's ass.
I want him to have a hammer Aeon now, so that it's just like Thor's hammer flies out.
You want me to put the hammer down?
No, please don't. Oh, goodness. Okay, I guess let's get into these chapters. So we start out with Sarene leaving Elantris, and Ace shows up, and she's like, oh, so Spirit is the one in charge? He's like, yeah. Like, it turns out that all the information about the gang leaders, that's outdated. This guy just showed up and took over everything. Some people say he is Sheor, but he defeated both Karada and Andon. And the second confrontation involved an enormous battle of some sort. Well, almost.
A building didn't fall over. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. This Seon seems to be the worst at gathering intel, but I guess his sources just aren't very good is the problem.
I mean, how many people knew what happened at that fight? Like,
right. Really only the people in Raiden's circle who he wouldn't probably go to for intel.
I mean, maybe some of like Andon's guys who were there, but most of them apparently joined Sheor's wild men, so they may not even talk anymore. There's whatever.
No, you got to be a beast man now. Oh.
Yeah, you can't come in here being all normal. What do you think you're doing?
Eloquence has no place here.
Is he just relying on the rumors, or is he actually talking to somebody? Because I feel like none of them would be used to seeing a Seon that's actually got it together. Like, that's got to be a bit weird, especially if someone comes in and is like, so, tell me what happened here. Who is this spirit guy? And then, Sheor's men who, act like beasts most of the time stop and go, well, man, look, this is what happened. And yeah, we put up a really big fight. Yeah. That's how that went. Like, I just don't see that happening. I would love to know how he's actually finding out his information. He's just, I don't know,
I assume
floating around, just integrating himself and no one notices.
Oh, yeah, maybe he's just like listening and overhearing stuff. I just assumed he was approaching random people, be like, "Hey, will you talk to me?" Because before he was like, "Yeah, they're like asking me for food, like I could carry them food." But
I guess some of the ones that aren't as together probably wouldn't notice the difference, which is not exactly a reliable source of information.
They may be more talkative now that they're getting food every day. He's like, "Hey, I'm friends with that lady who brings you food. You want to help me out?"
Yeah, possibly.
And so Sarene's like, "So the people I'm meeting with are imposters," which isn't entirely true because Karada is really Karada, but yeah, that's not Andon.
No, yeah.
Not that, I mean, we could produce Andon if you really want, but it wouldn't be that interesting for you.
So I feel like that would shatter the illusion at this point.
Well, yeah, but she's already disillusioned now.
This man has no mustache.
Where is the mustache?
The mustache of leadership is not present. I don't trust this man. There is like this is a sidebar. There is like a statistic, I've heard it somewhere, maybe it's total BS, but that apparently people that have facial hair are seen as more trustworthy than people who don't have men who don't have facial hair.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like
Okay.
a clean-shaven man is not is not deemed as trustworthy as one who has facial hair.
And yet one trying to disguise themselves would be wearing fake facial hair.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe that's why they need to disguise themselves.
Indeed. I need my own mustache of leadership. Clearly, that'll help me in life.
Yeah, you can go to Dollar Tree and get, like a $1 mustache. It comes with like 7 mustaches. We did that one time when we went to like a karaoke night. We all wore mustaches. It was pretty fun.
You just swap out from day to day what you want a mustache to look like that day.
Yeah. Well, it was funny too because we were doing karaoke wearing the mustaches, and this guy was like, "Oh man, I really like your mustache." I was like, "Oh really? Do you want one?" He's like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a fake mustache." And he was
How
like,
drunk was that guy?
he had just showed up, so if he was drunk, that's pretty impressive. But yeah,
She's gone, here, you can have it, and just hand it to him.
Oh no, seriously, I had like 5 of them, and I was like, "Here, you want one?" He's like, "Hell yeah!" And he also had a mustache.
Mustache karaoke night. That's what they started after you left. They're like, "Hey, this is catching on. We're gonna do mustache karaoke."
We actually, that was like one of the last times that bar was open. It's not open anymore, so maybe we killed it. Maybe the mustaches killed it.
Mustache
night
night
killed it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just they could never live up to mustache night again. So what can you do?
Mustache.
Too much leadership in one space.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Too many people butting heads over leadership roles because of the mustaches.
Can't have so many leaders. They lead in different directions.
Yeah.
No, I am mustachicus.
I am mustachicus.
I like how Serene's like, she says she's not really upset about all the lies. She's like, you have to expect a measure of subterfuge in any political engagement. But inside, she's like, oh, but I wanted Spirit to have been telling me the truth. I'm starting to trust him. It's not a good idea, but, And then I'm not sure I actually understand the end of this section where it's like, she hits a bump and a couple boxes fall over. She's like, next time we see Shuden, remind me to kick him. I'm like, what did Shuden do?
She, it says at the start, like, she wanted to ask Shuden for a ride in his coach, but Lady Tarina got in first, and so she has to ride in the food cart.
I've forgotten that part. Okay, yeah. Shuden and his new lady friend.
Yeah. She's real jealous for whatever reason.
And so we cut to the fencing practice. And apparently it's become really popular. Everyone loves it. Also, everyone loves Shuden, so he keeps showing up to these things also, so maybe that helps with her attendance. And like Iandel's also there, and he's like, hey, they're actually improving. And she's like, yeah, I mean, did you think I was that bad a teacher? He's like, no, I'm... And Lukel's like, she's teasing you.
He just swats her with a paper.
Yep. I think Lukel in this chapter is just so much fun when he's so like full of himself and on his big business deal that he made.
Which I don't think they actually explain that, do they?
I don't. Well, it's okay. So it says that he took a bite out of a bright red sour melon. He hadn't revealed how he'd managed to get a shipment of fruit an entire month before the season began, a fact that was making the rest of the mercantile community rabid with jealousy. So I guess he's the only one with these sour melons because the season hasn't started yet, so he made a killing off of that.
Okay. I feel like this has got to be important. It's like, secret business deal. The sour melons are the key to everything.
Lukel's going to secretly be having a business deal with, like, Fjorden, and he turns out to be the bad guy.
Ooh.
Wow. Deep. Yeah. Secret business deal through the mountains.
There are mountains separating this country from the other countries. So, yeah, maybe he found a secret passage. That's how he got them a month early. So the king is safe. They made enough money off his deal with Teod to keep him on his throne. Yay! And also, our friend Iadon, who Dak never trusted, has fled the country.
I mean, I was kind of right.
Honestly, we haven't
No,
heard
I wasn't
much from him
right at all.
lately. Like, I feel like he hasn't showed up in a while, so I'd almost forgotten that he was a thing until he left.
Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say.
Didn't he show up on one of the trips to Elantris with
Yes,
Sarene?
and he did not help.
That's right. He was a total douchebag about it. Like he is about everything, really.
Yeah. And Lukel's just like, he was spineless, arrogant, and would have betrayed us if he ever found the nerve. What wasn't there to like about the guy? And Eondel's like, Lukel's always like this after he makes a good deal. He'll be insufferable for another week at least. And then, like, she's encouraging the women. She's like, hey, you guys are already better than some of the women back in Teod. Probably, the worst of the women back in Teod. But hey, that's not nothing. And then she tries to shame them all into coming into Elantris. She's like, I've invited all of you, and Tarina's the only one who came. And she probably just came because of Fjorden, but whatever. She went.
She says, I went to Elantris with you? It's like, genuinely didn't realize that's where she was. I'm like, did you not notice the people?
I thought they were just, sick. It's like, no, they're Elantrians.
I thought they were very large, hairless cats.
Oh, jeez.
That's where I went? Oh, no, I was drunk.
Yeah, that's how they got her in there. She was wasted.
I don't remember. Look, my 21st birthday was last week. I don't remember anything.
I was drunk. I got in the coach with the hot guy. One thing led to another, and I don't remember anything after that.
Fjorden was a perfect gentleman, I'm sure.
Now, every time we see Tarina, we're just like, man, she's just wasted.
That's her new thing.
Maybe his special dance routine thing that he does, his dance fitness. Maybe it's hypnotic. Maybe he put her into some sort of trance. And
She's been
hypnotized. It's a magical hypno dance. I love it.
All hail the hypno dance.
I thought hypnosis was for losers with big fuzzy eyebrows.
But then we get some more introspection on Sarene's part where she's like, man, this is like Teod all over again. Like, everybody respects me, but nobody really likes me. It's like even the queen comes to Sarene for advice now. But, when people are hanging out having a good time, if I walk in, it stops and then starts up again when I leave. I'm just alienated still. She's like, even the dudes, like Fjorden and Eondel respect me and might even consider me a friend, but they wouldn't think about me romantically.
I think this is just like trying to parallel Hrathen's perspective and just really showing that they're going to wind up back together because they have common ground, because he feels alienated and alone in Elantris because he's the only one like not recovering when he does tasks and everything like that, so he feels alone among the people he's saving. So I feel like that's just a parallel between the two.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or it could just be bullshit and I'm reading into it, but hey.
But yeah, she's kind of like, oh, I'm never going to be married now. I mean, I am married, but I wasn't really married. Like, I never even met the dude. She has now. She doesn't know that, though.
Yeah.
And then Keen shows up, his deep, scratchy voice behind her. Like, Uncle, what are you doing here? Well, I found my house empty. Only one person would dare steal a man's entire household. And I like one comment from his stepson, and he's just like, he looks at him for a second, and he's like, he made a good deal again. And Eondel's like, yep. He's like, oh, man. And I also like that Keen is it's like, yeah, okay, the king did good, whatever, and everybody's crops are doing really well, so your whole plan is working, and yet I'm still worried. And she tries to use this to like parlay him into. He's like, your father would never forgive me if something happened to you in Elantris. And she's like, well, he's not gonna forgive you anytime soon anyway, right? And he will not be baited. He's like, no, there's some things that you don't need to know. I'm not gonna tell you what happened between me and my brother. Eventio might be a great king, but he's a pathetic brother. Of course, I won't soon win any awards for fraternal affection either. And all he says is, we had a disagreement. I had a bad experience.
Someone ate all the chocolate ice cream.
And then she changes topic and is like, do you think there's any secret passages in the palace? And he says, I'd be as surprised as the three virgins if there aren't. I got to stop there for a second because in the annotation, Brandon says,
I was about to say, what is that?
he says, oh, and I'm not exactly certain why the three virgins were surprised. However, this line from Keene always cracks me up. I think of three virgins, think of them very surprised, and yeah, anyway, I'm sure they got more than they expected.
What? he came up with it. How does he not know what they were surprised about?
He just made up a line that sounded funny. I like it.
I
Yeah,
guess.
he's just throwing in something. It's like, this is probably something that exists in the backstory. I ain't going to explain it because nothing I say is going to be as funny as just like what people come up with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Surprised is the three virgins. It's like, was the surprise that they weren't actually virgins because they didn't understand how sex worked? I don't understand.
Excuse me. He also mentions here, he's like, one of my challenges in this book was to make the romance between Sarene and Hrathen realistic, considering the relatively small amount of time that they've had to spend together so far. I hope to avoid silly love at first sight type plottings, while at the same time making the relationship feel genuine and touching in as short a time as possible. And so that's talking about the end of this chapter where she's kind of sitting there like mooning over Spirit, and Deora comes over and has a complete misunderstanding of what is going on. So yeah, Deora comes over and it's like, do you want to talk about it, dear? Like, he's not for you. And she's like, well, how do you even know? But then she realizes she's talking about shooting. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not interested in shooting. And Deora's like, oh, of course you're not. Uh-huh.
You're close.
It's like, shoot and hypnotize another one.
Just everyone's into shooting, apparently. What can you do?
Maybe he does. Maybe he is hypnotic.
Yeah.
Instead of walking down the street, he just does that dance, and like all the ladies of the town just follow him in a line.
The Pied
Yeah,
Piper.
it's basically, it's basically Footloose.
Iadon has forbidden dancing in the kingdom, but shooting will free
Yeah.
us.
Actually,
Shooting
I can see
will
John
free us.
Lithgow as Iadon.
Yeah, sure.
I can't see Kevin Bacon as shooting though.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really work. It's like Asian Footloose.
Okay.
Footloose.
Tai Chi has been outlawed. Only the master can. Yeah.
I just got a dance.
So we move on to Hrathen's chapter, and Hrathen's sitting there staring at the accounting finances for Iadon, which the entire story of this book hinges so much on accounting. It's like insane.
Yeah,
And he's just
Guy Norden would be having a field day.
right.
Yeah. I guess there's just no accounting for taste.
Ah.
Little Tish.
Yep. Well, calculator.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
That one actually took me a minute.
I like.
Nope. But he is stunned. He's like, Telri's not going to be king. Where did Iadon get this money? Like, all of my plans are collapsing. First, Sarene defeats my Elantris plan, and now somehow they've, like, given this guy enough money to keep the throne, so, like, my puppet is not going to be king.
Then I'm gonna have to talk to him, and that's gonna.
And on top of that, he's still questioning his faith.
And he still has Dilaf just being Dilaf.
Yeah, no joke. That is not helping matters.
I
But he just-
just remain surprised that at no point throughout this has he thought, can I just have Dilaf killed? Like, knife in the back alley, solve my problem. But it's like, that has never occurred to him?
Yeah, you would think that maybe that would be a good idea, right?
I would be very surprised if, like, given how bloodthirsty this religion is, thou shalt not kill, like, the followers is really a commandment.
Well, they do have a monastery that trains assassins, so...
which he trained at apparently, or at least no, he trained at the hidden one, which is even more deadly and dangerous than the rest.
The mystery one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's like, he's like Neo in the Matrix. He knows kung fu.
Yeah.
You're allowed to kill because he sent Dilloff to kill Fionn if he didn't get on the boat, right? So.
Yeah, Fionn wasn't sworn to him though. Dilloff is. Even though Dilloff is not doing his job.
Well, I mean, that's debatable. You could say he is doing his job, but just not the job that Hrathen wants him to do.
Yes, he's following the letter, not the spirit.
He drops to the ground and starts praying earnestly, pleading for help from Jada. And apparently he's at it for like hours, because when somebody comes in, he's like, geez, has it really been that long?
Yeah, so let's conservatively say that it sunsets at like 5 p.m. So that's at least 5 hours of praying this dude's doing.
That's some serious praying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says he'd begun prayers just before noon. So yeah, he gets the box that this guy delivers, and it says, "My Lord Hrathen, here's the poison you requested." He only requested 2 doses, but it does say 4 vials. So
Yeah, so he didn't intend to give it to 4 people unless you need a double dose.
yeah, and it doesn't say he drank 2, so I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one would just make you sick, and somehow it brought on the Rayad. I don't, or Shayad, not Rayad.
See, what I thought was the poison like gives you the appearance of being an Elantrian, but none of the unfortunate side effects. And then he's got to drink. And then he's got to drink the second vial to get rid of the appearance. And so that's Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, this might be getting into predicament territory, but I thought this was like sort of his plan. He's gonna drink it, look like an Elantrian for a bit, publicly pray to Jada for forgiveness, then like knock back the second vial and go, look, I'm cured. Jadith has cured me. Isn't he great? Because it says originally he was going to give that to Dilloff. But now he's just like, well, Dilloff is like, I can't, like, he's already stealing all my followers from me. I can't make him the messiah of this little Elantrian thing, so I'll have to do it myself.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you, except that nobody but the Elantrians are witnessing him constantly praying. So, and nobody gives a shit what they say. So
there are rumors, Joe.
The
rumors get out.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, Ian could be rumor mongering about this as we speak, but
Ian's behind the rumors. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Ace goes and talks to Ian. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
so is Galadon.
So I just don't see that playing out, because it's like, what are they just gonna take his word for it? It's like, yeah, dude, I prayed real hard and now I'm cured.
Well, I mean, if he can show that he got cured, then that will be pretty good evidence that something cured him.
Sure.
Yeah, he was publicly thrown in there.
He wasn't though. That was kind of the thing.
Oh, but like his entire congregations, like he wandered around the chapel and they all saw him looking like that, and it's like, what the shit?
Yeah, that is true for sure.
Plus, he's only in like the first court. Yeah, he hasn't moved.
But
so people are watching him, and he's sitting there
could be on the
wall. All of a sudden, magically, his condition goes away.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, especially because don't they strip him of everything? So like, if he had a vial on him,
that's a good point.
They would have been like, "Yo, what's this?"
Yep, unless he hit it somewhere very uncomfortable, he's probably not gonna have a vial.
Yeah.
I
hit this uncomfortable vial up my ass.
I just thought it would be a time frame thing. It would fade. The effects would fade or something.
Yeah, maybe that's
pray and pray for a week, and then all of a sudden it'll go, and everyone will see that we're praying to Jadith cured him, and then that's how he'll get the followers, because no one wants to be an Elantrian.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make my theory work at the at the expense of your theories, where there's an actual way to bring on the Shayad. So
when was the last time we had theories go to war with each other?
Orser.
Yes. Wow. Okay.
That was a good one.
But yeah.
I had to spend an entire book trying to discourage his Orsor theory.
I would not be tamed, sir. Just like I won't be tamed off of this, Shayad was caused on purpose thing.
But I think
Viewers, if you want to donate to us, you can all bet money on who's correct.
Yeah. Well, I just like, it just sticks in my craw, right? Like the coincidence of a young prince who's completely in what's the word I'm looking for? Not contrast, but who's completely in disagreement with his father on most matters, who's all of a sudden taken after the deal has been struck for him to have a wife and for his kingdom to have like financial benefits from said thing. Like all of a sudden he's taken by the Shaod suddenly, even though he was in good health. And was the door just pouring out of him super hard? Like, I don't get why that would happen.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And then also the coincidence that Hrathen drinks this poison and it just happens to have the effects to turn him into an Elantrian. I just don't. I don't buy it. I don't buy that.
Maybe,
I don't even buy that it's fake. Like, I just don't get it.
Who's the guy that oh my god, who's the guy that
Brewed it?
made the potion?
Fortin. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Fortin.
he said, maybe to add to your theory, Joe, he said that he already had 2 such potions to do what Hrathen wanted.
Yeah,
So
he
maybe
said to
Hrathen
combine them.
wanted a potion, to turn him into an Elantrian and then to turn him back. Now, the reason he's already got 2 potions to do it is because maybe Iadon's already asked for it. Or someone.
Yeah,
who
and
turned,
that would be.
maybe that works.
Yeah, and that would be my thing, is like his dad knew what was going on. Hold on, I'm gonna feed my dog. Let me take a second here.
Also, could be
He's
why
woofing at
Raiden.
me.
Could also be why Raiden feels it differently, because he didn't get it organically.
Yeah, why he's suffering more. That would kind of make sense, right?
Yeah, I have a different theory about that. My theory why he's suffering more, which I just came up with after reading this, is that he keeps trying to use the Aeons, and Raiden has come up with the theory that like the Aeon's not being used properly because there's something interrupting the flow. So because he keeps tracing them and trying to use it, that's sending more like
it's
door
backlashing
energy.
on him.
Yeah, it's basically back every symbol he draws, like basically the energy flow, because it's all jacked up, keeps like pushing back on him and causing him pain. That's my theory on that.
I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're definitely getting into predicament territory. Yes, that's also I think the word you were looking for was in opposition. Raiden was in opposition to his dad, like completely.
Yeah, that's not exactly the word I was looking for, but it fits just as well.
He's sitting there thinking. I find it interesting that he says he had forgotten about the call to Fortin. So whatever this potion is, or this poison, it wasn't like integral to some plan he had going. He wasn't sitting here waiting for it to show up. He was like, oh right, that thing. I had some like half plan to give it to
Spur of
Dilloff.
the moment late night internet purchase.
it's so
He was like drunk. He had his credit card out watching the Home Shopping Network, and he was like, oh hell yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna chop these onions so good they're gonna get chopped, slap chopped.
Yeah, fun. Hook me up with some of that blotchy face shit. You know the one I mean. Yeah, that.
It's stuff that it's purple drink, or at least he turns you purple. You know what I'm saying?
And then it's just he swishes the poison around in his vial and then downs it, and that is the end of the part. I feel like that's a pretty good cliffhanger for part 1, because nobody was expecting that.
No one was expecting part 1 to end.
Well, yeah,
We'd forgotten there were parts.
Yeah, this
true.
is 58% of the way through the book, and part 1 ends. In the annotations, Brandon says, yes, his drinking the poison is supposed to be a zing. Theoretically, this will push you on into the next section of the book. The slower portions of the novel are beginning to wind down, and things are going to start moving a little more quickly.
Sander is beginning to lanch.
A little bit. So we cut to Hrathen in his library at the beginning of part 2. Part 2 is The Call of Elantris, by the way. The whole book was originally going to be titled The Spirit of Elantris, and his editor convinced him to change to just Elantris. So then he made The Spirit of Elantris the title of part 3, and then had to come up with titles for part 1 too. So we got The Shadow of Elantris, The Call of Elantris, and then The Spirit of Elantris. So apparently there are so many books. He says that the bookshelves extend out of sight. So that's a long ass room of books if you can't even see them
Also, like, those have to be some very well-constructed bookshelves.
Right?
Yeah. It's like the Owl Library.
Yeah, like the Owl Library. So Kurata managed to make a discovery of the catalog. It's like a set of books over here is the catalog of the rest of the library. So that was lucky, or he might have just been wandering around forever. But from that, he was able to find the books on Aeon Door and selected the least complicated volume he could find and started learning. They keep the place pretty much a secret, especially the pool, because Rowden's worried that people just go start throwing themselves in there if they found out there was a way to end the pain. I feel like all those people you have, like the Hoed, who are not getting any better, maybe it would be a nice gesture to put them in there. But then again, I don't know if that's a decision you can make for them.
Also, people like the non-Hoed would then start asking questions like, where are all those people?
It's true.
Like, we put them in a box. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just in boxes. It's fine. Oh man. But he's still thinking about how the pain keeps getting worse and worse for him, and he has to try to figure this shit out before it's too late. And so he's starting to learn about Aeon equations. So not just Aeons, there's equations involved. It's math. So even small differences in how you draw them can make big differences in what the Aeons end up doing. So he's like, a line drawn longer in proportion to the rest of it could have drastic effects. And so he starts picking up on the theory of it. Now that he's got the simple starting place, he starts to understand how this all works and fits together. The door is a powerful reservoir just beyond the normal senses. Its only desire is to escape. It exists in a place full of pressure, and so the energy pushes its way through any exit. However, because of its nature, it can only get into our world, the physical world rather, through a properly sized and shaped opening. So they create this by drawing the Aeons, and that creates an opening the door can pass through, but also dictates what the energy will do once it gets out. But if even one thing is a bit off, then it may not be able to enter at all, like a square trying to force its way through a round hole. I also like how we get into, he's like, some of the theorists describe the process using unfamiliar words like frequency and pulse length. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what that shit means, but
sounds like it's some kind of wave.
Something quantum.
Yeah.
But interestingly, if you'll remember, back in Mistborn, the people who can sense allomancy, pulse length is also a factor in that.
It's true. They feel the pulsing.
So anyway, he's guessing that the door has changed somehow. Like, for some reason, the shape changed that the key needs to be to let it out. So now instead of a square, it's a triangle, and that's why nothing's working. And while he's thinking all this, Ian has somehow wandered into the secret underground library. And Galadon's like, how did that get in here? Dude, your Seon is creepy.
Yeah, he's just a little drunk. Give him a break.
Galadon's also drunk. Okay.
Ian's just constantly inebriated.
Oh, Ian. I thought you meant Galadon. Okay.
No, yeah. Galadon's like, oh, Sule, I'm so drunk. Nah, Ian.
And he's like, hey, guys, just came to see what you're doing so I can start spreading some more rumors.
Ian's not actually drunk or broken. He's just an act.
Yeah.
He got tired of doing what this dude told him all the time.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, forget you, man.
Then we cut to Salen and Rowden talking, and Salen's like, look, this is our last option. My men, they're too hurt. We're not going to be able to stand up against them anymore. And so he's come up with a plan to basically ambush them. I feel like we should have another plan like Andon was going to do, where you like lure them into a building and collapse it on them. That would be much safer. Maybe.
It's like a building 2 blocks away collapses while they're handing out food. Serene just goes, what was that? Oh, nothing.
Nothing. Just that happens sometimes in Elantris. It's fine.
Hey, look at the buildings. They rot. See, this building's just about to fall over right now.
So yes, a desperate last-ditch attempt at a trap is what it says. And so they go, and Spirit is like, hey, when Serene shows up, he's like, hey, you remember how I told you that some of the Elantrians aren't as nice as us? Just be ready. Something might happen. And it's interesting because in that previous Serene chapter, we got the, like, she was shaming all the women. She's like, all you need to come with me tomorrow to Elantris. And then it would have made sense to me to have, like, the attack happen on the day that all the women were here and no men. But that's not actually how it goes. It's like, this is a week or two later or something. So I was like, oh, well, what was the point of that thing with the women? Because it specifically says here, like, a collection of noblemen, even a few noble women had come. So it's not that next day. And just when Spirit starts to think, when Hrathen starts to believe that maybe the plan worked, that's when the yelling starts. Sheor's men fly out. The guards jump in, surprised, startled from their leisurely idling near the gate. Sheor's men would have taken out the nobles, except that Iadon appears with some of his people and kind of hold them off for a second, long enough for the guards to get there. But Iadon is horribly wounded in the process. Like, he beheads 2 wild men in one breath. Iadon jumps in. He's a badass, basically. Sorry. I think I was confusing Seolin and Iadon in my thing there for a second.
Well, they seem to be the only 2 people who know how to fight.
Right? Well, Seolin did work for Iadon. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that we didn't get some recognition between them. Like, Seolin shows up one day when people are handing out food, and he's like, oh, hey, Lord Iadon.
I feel like Hrathen has probably said, like, if you see someone you know, don't talk to them.
Yeah, maybe. But it says Iadon's weapon, powered by healthy muscles, easily cut through Elantrian flesh, because all their muscles are kind of atrophying, we have learned over the course of this story. And then one of the wildmen falls down, basically at Sarene's feet, and it's like, we only wanted some food. Saying it over and over, like that's his Hoed mantra. And she looks at Hrathen and she's like, you held food back from them, didn't you? And it's true, he did. I mean, there was a good reason for it. It even says that he tried giving them food and it didn't help. They just still wanted to attack where all the food was. So
Yep.
He's like, yeah, I did. She says, you tyrant. And he's like, yep, I am.
It's I know this is not the inflection, but when I read that part and he's just like, yeah, I just thought of like the Joker.
The Joker.
When, yeah, he's just like,
You think you can steal from us and get away with it?
yeah.
Little gamble here. Won't be able to get a nickel for his grandma. She like, I almost started trusting you, and then she leaves, dashing towards the gate as the soldiers fall back. And he walks over, and the status part is like Seolin has become one of the Hoed, and he's just like, I failed my lord spirit. I was like, oh, that's poor guy.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, these Red and Sarene parts are just like, oh, that's depressing. That's sad. Oh man, I can't believe that happened. What a bummer.
So Hrathen stays there holding Seolin, lost in sorrow, for a very long time, until suddenly the gates open. And I think maybe I didn't even realize this time because we were reading this whole section at once. But Brandon talks in the annotations about how this was like supposed to be a big kind of cliffhanger thing, because the gates are opening and you're meant to think that it's these soldiers that we find out in a minute are coming to kill the Elantrians, right? Until we get to the end of Sarene's chapter and you find out that they've told the soldiers not to go in and they've pulled back. And so you're supposed to be like, oh my gosh, why is the gate opening then? And you find out in Hrathen's chapter that, oh, he's turned into a Elantrian. That's why the gate's opening. I totally didn't get that this time. Maybe just because I already knew why the gate was opening, I guess. But what did you guys get that?
Yeah, I thought that's when, of course, we've read the end of the chapter and then knew that wasn't what was happening.
Right.
But yes, I was like, oh crap, the soldiers are going to come in there. That's why the gate opened. But that, because we read enough of the chapters quickly enough, it was not a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So she comes out and Aisha's like, are you hurt? And she's like, no, I'm fine. And then she explains to Aisha what happened first. He's like, he was withholding food from people. You should have seen them. They were so hungry that the starvation had driven them mad. Spirit's warriors kept them from the courtyard, but they must have finally gotten hungry enough to fight back. I was like, you're not really understanding the situation as well as you think you do, but okay. And she's like, I knew what he was doing. Why does it bother me that I was right? But she really wanted to trust him.
She's just crushing on him. That's cute.
Yeah. It's cute that they both like each other, even though they're married.
Also, I feel like she's not used to naturally seeing the good in people, but she's really seeing it with him. So she's suspicious of the fact that she does see it, and so she's looking for an excuse to not like him.
Yeah, I agree. This whole time she's kind of been looking for an excuse to dislike him. So, and it's funny because he's the opposite way, where he always is like seeing the good and the potential in people. maybe they'll make a good couple for that reason.
I was about to
if they ever
say,
get together.
it would have been a nice balancing act for them, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's like, this is gonna be a disaster. Now all the nobility will remember now is that they were attacked, and no one will like think nicely of Elantris after this. And then she sees the guards marching up in Iadon's personal guard livery, and she can tell that they're getting ready to kill. And at first, the coachman resisted Sarene's commands that he drive more quickly, but few men found it easy to resist a determined Tio princess. So she's badgering this guy, I guess. Drive faster, faster, damn it!
I was expecting her to say, oh, I'll do it, and throw him off the carriage and take the reins herself.
That does seem like her, right? And so she basically busts into the king's room, and he's like, whatever it is, it'll wait. And she's like, what the hell do you think you're doing? He's like, there's been an attack on my court. I have to respond. He's like, don't give me that shit. You've been looking for an excuse to destroy them for 10 years. Only the people's superstitions kept you back. And he's like, and your point? Like, I knew that already. So what are you trying to say? And he's like, you should be grateful. It's your honor that was slighted here. And she's like, I can defend my own honor. Thank you very much. And she sees that he's signing a paper that says like Elantris and extermination. So yeah, those aren't good words to have paired together right there. And it's funny because he does know that his son is in there. So he didn't like his son that much in the first place, I guess. So maybe it doesn't bother him, but still, it's kind of harsh.
Like in his head, they're not worth saving, regardless of who they are. So he doesn't see them as people.
Yeah.
On that note, though, I did find it interesting that he actually used her name here rather than calling her princess or girl for the first time.
It's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
It kind of stuck out to me. It's like, oh, okay. Like after their last confrontation, he recognizes her as someone worth giving a name to.
Yeah. He also calls her princess, which is a respectful title, I guess. So.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe she got a little respect out of him after the last time. She spends all that credit here, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the ramifications of what she's doing here are not going to be so great.
I can't imagine anything good coming out of this. But yeah, she's like, go back. He's like, go back to your room, Sarene. This will all be over in a matter of hours. And she is like, you listen to me, you are going to get those soldiers away from Elantris, and you are going to leave those people alone. Otherwise, I'm going to tell people what I know about you. And he snorts. And she's like, really? Really? You're going to give me that? You're going to feel differently when everybody knows the truth. How you think your court, they already make fun of you when you're not looking. How you think they're going to feel when they find out that the only reason you're still king is because I did you a favor? I saved your crown. I had to practically give you money to keep you on the throne. How are people going to feel? You're going to look like an even bigger fool than everyone already thinks you are. Can't even hold on to your own kingdom after you've like squashed it in your greedy hands and enslaved the people. It's like, how's it going to look when everyone finds out that you're indebted to a woman and a foolish girl at that? And he loses all steam, and she hands him a pen and some paper, and she's like, repeal it. And he does. And she goes, Aish, go stop the soldiers, tell them new orders are coming. And we find out here that apparently a Seon can move faster than a galloping horse when he wants to. So that's interesting information. And then she tells one of the guards who's been standing there this whole time to take this letter to the soldiers. And he does. And then the other guard is standing there super awkwardly for a second. And he's like, I'll go make sure that he gets there. Just
don't want to be here.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah. She closes the door behind her as she leaves, and the king is crying to himself with his head in his hands. Oh my gosh.
It's just a measure of how much we don't like Iadon that, like, I did not feel any sympathy for him in this moment. Like, he's utterly broken.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you had this coming, dude.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's, you're crying. You're a grown man crying because a girl told you that you, sucked. Good. So, that's on you, bro.
That's on you, bro. And in the annotations, Brandon says, here's where we get the payoff for several hundred pages worth of hinting at Iadon's insecurity and paranoia. Plotting, in my estimation, is all about payoffs. You have to earn your plot, and you do this by putting the pieces together in the right places, so when you get to a climax, even a smaller one, your readers accept what's happening. So yeah, I think that we had sufficient build-up to Iadon being a spineless little shit that I'm not surprised here. And it feels satisfying and not sympathetic at all. So, as Dak said. Oh, goodness. So yes, by the time Sarene gets to Elantris, the orders had already arrived, and they're just standing around. And she's like, you guys go home. And the captain's like, no, We received orders not to attack, but not to leave. And then a guy shows up and is like, here's the orders for you to leave. And Sarene goes up to the top, and from the top of the wall, she can see Hrathen down there, like cradling Salen in his arms. And she also sees apparently a body that's been like cut in half. It says his legs were lying a dozen feet from his chest. And somehow he's still moving, waving his arms around. And finally she gets it. They say the Elantrians are dead. And for the first time she realizes they don't need to eat. Now I understand. But why do they eat then? Yeah. It really sucks that your body doesn't do anything and doesn't apparently need energy from you to survive, but it still really wants the food. That's like the worst.
Yeah.
And she still feels kind of sorry for Spirit. She's like, I guess even like a tyrant can care about the people who follow him. But really, she's sad that she's never going to see him again. Her crush. And so she sought refuge in the only place where she felt safe, at Keen's house. And she's like, gives him a hug, and she's crying. All the shit that's gone down today. And Lukel's like, oh, speak of the lion, and he will come to feast, a Jindo proverb. There's actually an interesting note in here about that, which is the proverb about the lion is actually a Korean proverb, one which always stood out to me because it was almost identical to our proverb, speak the name of the devil and he will appear. The Korean version is, if you say the name of the tiger, he will appear. He says, from what I've seen, you'd be surprised at how many proverbs span cultures. They may sound a little different, but the meanings are often similar. So that's kind of interesting. But he did his, he's a Mormon, so he did his missionary work in Korea. So he speaks Korean, and he often mentions like Korean stuff in these annotations.
Yeah, I thought the interesting thing about this proverb was like, okay, so that proves that lions exist in this world.
Yes, it does.
You never know what animals are in fantasy books until they specifically bring them up. So it's like, okay, there are lions. Cool. That's interesting. I don't know what to do with that information, but I have it.
Maybe there's mysteries. You never know. They could be there. Probably not. Since they weren't naturally occurring animals and they were terroristmen changed into mysteries, but whatever.
Maybe they have Elantrian lions. Lions that can't die but are always hungry.
That would suck.
That would be terrible.
And Casey is really excited in the moment of silence. She's like, Sarene, did they really try to eat you? She's like, no, they just wanted some of our food. And Casey's like, man, and I missed it. Why'd you have to get sick? So apparently she and her brother were going to go, and her brother got sick. And then Lukel's like, so was it true? And Serene's like, yeah, some Elantrians attacked us, but nobody got hurt. And he's like, no, I mean, the thing about the king. Did you really yell at him until he gave in? And she's like, oh, shit, people have heard about that. They say your voice resounded all the way to the main hall. Iadon still hasn't left his study. That's not good that everyone has heard this. That makes the whole thing even worse.
Yeah, because if they hear the specifics of what she was yelling, she's like, oh, I'll tell everyone what I did to save you. And they're just like, well, we know now.
Right?
Yep, that's the whole thing. His guards were there and obviously heard it, so.
Yeah. And I like Deora's like, no, you did the right thing. He needed to be taken down a peg. And Serene's like, it wasn't really hard. Beneath all that bluster, he's very insecure. And she's like, most men are, dear. Thanks. I'm not saying it's not true, but just you didn't have to put it out there like that. Like, seriously, come on.
Let's just, finish Deora's thought and say that most people are.
Yeah, and Serene's like, man, Iadon is not going to react well. And Luke was like, it's fine, you can just yell at him again. And Keen's like, no, monarchs can't afford to be reprimanded in public. This is going to be bad. And Luke you got to remember, it may still be high on his like awesome business deal, so he's a little flippant. It's like maybe he'll just abdicate in favor of Sarene. At which point Aish floats in the window and he's like, that's exactly what your dad was worried about. You guys remember in like the second chapter of this book, he's like, do not overthrow the king and like put yourself on the throne or whatever.
Queen Sarene. Oh God, this is exactly what I did want to happen. He calls her up and she's like, what the hell happened? She's like, it just kind of happened. I'm sorry.
I yelled at a guy. He cried. They made me queen. I don't know what to tell you, Dad.
But I believe she promised him she would wait at least 2 months before doing something like that, and I don't think it's been 2 months yet. So
no, it's probably been like a month and a half tops.
She couldn't even keep that promise. Jeez. And Aish reports that after the guards returned to the palace, the captain went to see the king, and His Majesty refused to open his doors. And Lukel's just like, yeah, it wouldn't do for a soldier to see his king bawl like a child. Dude, you're not helping. Like, this guy. And then Shootin shows up. He's like, I just heard some interesting news. And Luke was like, yeah, about Sarene. And Shootin's like, oh, no, this is something else. He's like, that's old news. That's 5 minutes ago news. And Serene's like, well, what else could possibly have happened? And Shootin's like, you're never going to believe who the Sheod took last night. So this
Drill crush throat.
At this point, did you guys realize who, when he said that? Are you like, oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if Hrathen is Dreo Crushthroat?
Dude, that'd be pretty sweet.
He's a badass.
In addition to being the kickboxing monk, he's also like the pirate.
Pirate King. King
Yeah.
of pirates.
Kickboxing monk pirate.
Yeah. You know what's crazy to me? Like, they just keep mentioning this pirate. Like, is there a book devoted to this pirate?
I don't think they mentioned him again. We brought him up just now.
No, but I wasn't here for last week, but they mentioned him last week, and I'm just like, what? Like, what is it with this guy? Everybody's talking about him, but he's
they're a
barely
bit
been gone
obsessed
for a
with him.
while. Yeah, I guess it's just like he's the man, the myth, the legend. You know, I don't know.
Maybe he's the one who made it with the 3 virgins.
Yeah, there you go. That's why they were so surprised.
Yeah, they were surprised by the crush throat.
Yeah, fair to say, I would be surprised as well in that instance.
That's why he disappeared. It's a whole Big Love situation, and he's married to 3 virgins.
You know who needs to be the pirate is Eshin. That's that would be a surprise.
Oh,
Yeah,
you guys didn't
or-
watch Disenchantment, did you?
No, or what if Keen was the pirate, and
Keen
that's
is the
what?
pirate lord.
Yeah, and that's what that's why he and his brother had a falling out, because he found out he was a pirate lord, and then that's why also he knows like all of these dishes from all these different cultures and lands, because he was a pirate and he sailed to all these places and like pillaged them and learned their ways.
I love that. It's like he pillaged them and he makes sure to steal a recipe book at every stop so that he can learn the recipes.
He's like, I'm gonna be the best cook ever. And then
It's
like secretly Crushthroat was like they loved their captain because he was so good at cooking food.
Oh yeah, that would work.
They're like, I'll join his crew just for the food.
So it depends on the day. Some days he might cook you the best feast ever. Some days he might crush your throat. But hey, it's worth it for a good meal.
Yeah,
Exactly. Some days he'll cook you up a sauce so delicious you think you died and gone to Domi. And other days he'll feed you to the bloody sharks. Never can tell with Crushthroat.
And then one day he just hung up his iron gauntlets and said, "Nah, mates, me throat crushing days are done."
And we were like, no, who's going to serve us delicious food now?
I had to learn to cook me own shit. What the hell, Cap?
Yeah.
This is new headcanon.
Yeah.
Keen the cooking pirate, the legendary cooking pirate. I love it.
Right.
I love that all his
Bizarrely
crew
cocky
sounded a
crew.
bit like Michael Caine.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's why I'm here peeling potatoes, because Crushthroat's gone and left me.
A potato the size of a tangerine.
Yeah. I was peeling a potato the size of a tangerine. That's not a very big potato.
No, it's not.
Well, you know, it's more about the flavour than the size. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I mean, you could wind up like the first mate, who the first thing he tried to cook was one of them Elantrian lions. Oh,
Yeah.
things didn't work out well for Stomp Boot.
No.
Way to bring us full circle, Dak. Good job.
Yeah. He, you know, that lion let loose, ate about half the crew. He still wasn't satiated, so we had to truck him overboard.
We couldn't even figure out where it was going. Like, there wasn't enough room in him for all the crew members, but he ate them all anyway.
Have you ever seen an Elantrian lion? It's just like a big hairless cat. It's disgusting.
Oh, it would be hairless too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is
it
horrifying.
was terrifying. Terrifying.
Okay. That's. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to come back to that.
See it now.
I know, right? Oh, not a good picture. So Hrathen didn't try to hide the transformation. He just walks through in the middle of morning services. It was worth the loss of hair to see Dilof's reaction.
Hrathen, you're an Elantrian. Shut up, baby. I know it.
And the Karathi priests show up a little bit later to, put him in a white robe and take him away. The confused Dilloff watching from his alcove, his eyes openly hating Hrathen for the first time. Which, yeah, he would. But I can also understand why he's confused. It's like, apparently everyone knows that only, people from Erelon and stuff get taken by the Sheods. So this is like, what on earth is happening here? So, yeah, they wash him, wrap him in some white cloth, give him a little basket. But when they get to the city, the soldiers are blocking the way. And we know what soldiers these are because we just saw them in the previous chapters. So they take him off to a side room to wait for a couple hours, it says. And apparently it says he'd heard that they only throw people in Elantris during a certain time of day, but I guess it was more of a window of time than a specific moment because eventually they give him the basket and they offer a prayer and they shove him through. And so, yeah, he just stands there. He drops his basket, drops to his knees and starts praying to Jadeath loudly. Lift this taint from my blood, restore me to life. I implore you with all the power of my position as a holy Gyorn. And he just keeps repeating it again and again. And once again, yeah, this chapter is extremely short. In our last chapter, they start out putting Saolin in the pool so that he dissolves. And Raoden's like, I wanted to give him the mercy of the pool because his wound was so terrible, but also because I would not be able to walk into the Hall of the Fallen if I had to listen to him being like, I failed my Lord's spirit over and over, which I get. That's messed up.
Oh, yeah. That would just fuck you up.
And he's like, oh, man, this is all my fault. But then it turns out, the people start coming back when they realize Sarene's not showing up again with any more food. And they come back actually more confident in, he says that they realize that it takes more than food. It takes more than not being in pain to be happy. So they're looking for something more now before they were just wanting food, basically. And not only that, but more of them are coming than came before. Something about Sarene's, bringing food all the time kind of snapped them out of their just wandering around aimlessly.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And then we get Galadon and Raoden looking at the Gyorn and discussing, it's like, this guy shouldn't be here. They don't get taken. Only people from Erelon, Teod, and occasionally Duladel get taken. And so they're discussing, how the hell did this happen? And it's been 3 days since he got here, and he's still praying. And so Raoden's like, I guess when he's done praying, we'll go and invite him to join us. And Galadon, we haven't tried praying before.
I feel like Galadon's working out some issues because he's just been told that Duladel fell to the Fjordan Empire, so now he's confronted with a Fjordal priest. He's just like, man, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he doesn't even know that this is the guy who's responsible, but yeah.
He's just bearing a grudge.
And then they start to see some of Sheor's men slinking around to get the food from Hrathen, and they're like, oh, Raoden's like, come on, we gotta go save him. Dola can burn me for helping a Gyorn. And they round the side of the building just in time to see Hrathen leap to his feet, spinning with near inhuman speed, and catching Sheor's man by the head, snapping his neck, and throwing him against the gate. Then he does a spin kick and tosses another one across the courtyard.
I mean, do we need more evidence that we obviously need a film, or not a film, but a book about this monastery? I mean, come on.
Right?
A documentary.
He gives a guy some rabbit punches to the face and then a kick.
I like Dak's idea documentary. It's like, I'm going in depth and undercover in this monastery to find out just what it is about the Fjordell Empire's secret monks that we don't know.
I want it to be one of those action adventure YouTubers who's just way over the top, and he's like, we're going in. We're going to see stuff nobody's ever seen before. Oh my gosh. Shaky cam.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Horrible style, it cuts to him the next day, and he's just his face is all just beating the shit out of him. Just my kickboxing needs work.
Yep.
Yeah. Not even that. Just immediately he walks in, and then they're like, oh God, they've spotted us. And then they get killed immediately, and the camera just falls over and it goes to static.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So, the two men who could still move decide to leave. And the one guy with a broken neck is still laying there, whimpering. And Raoden's just like, man, what a pity. We could have used those guys back in New Elantris. He doesn't mention being impressed like Galadon does when Galadon's like, man, we should have realized that Drethi priests could take care of themselves.
Oh no, like right before that, Raoden's running up and he just sort of stops dead. His mouth falls open. He's like, what?
Yeah, that's true. So he'd heard that Drethi priests have to train in the infamous monasteries, but assumed that a middle-aged Gjorn would not have maintained his skills. Well, you assume incorrectly, sir. And Galadon's like, well, I don't know what we can do about, like, the wild men. And Raoden has come up with a plan. They move into Sheor's territory so quickly that nobody notices them until they're right in the middle. They start howling. And Daishi, I guess, has kind of taken the place of Salen. He's one of the only fighting men left. And Raoden's plan is to take a big-ass bag of the seed corn, and they get close enough to hear Sheor screaming, bring me food, I want food, and then commanding them to kill the intruders. But it's too late. They've spilled the corn onto the floor of the bank, and all the Sheor's men care about is the food that suddenly showed up. So she's screaming, kill them, but they're too busy stuffing their mouths.
It's like total boss move. Instead of a mic drop, it's a corn drop.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to the first one shows up a few hours later at New Elantris, and he's just holding some of this corn. And this is where it tells us it's the seed corn. It's corn that's a bit hardened over the winter for planting. And Raoden has built a big fire using a bunch of their wood because it's a big-ass fire, and Galadon did not approve of this, but he needed to get their attention and remind them of something. So the guy walks up, and he's got, handfuls of slimy corn, or actually got a sack, I'm sorry. A sack of corn that he's managed to have in there, and he says, cook. I mean, Raoden has to be like, no. Don't pretend you don't understand me. You can't have been here longer than 6 months. You have not forgotten the language. Don't give me that shit. And so, yeah, finally, guys, the guy says, cook. And that's where you find out it's the seed corn. It's too painful for them to chew or swallow, basically. Like, you can't eat this straight. So he'd hoped that the combination of this inedible food and the fire would remind them, hey, cooking is a thing, and bring them back to civilization. So he says, I won't cook for you, but I will let you do it for yourself. And that is the end of the chapter.
Really just seems like he's just out of fucks to give at this point. He's like, I lost Salen. All right, Sheor. Storms into her camp, like doesn't give a shit, dumps corn everywhere, leaves. And then when they finally come back, he's like, no, you got to earn it, bitch.
Well, I think what he's trying to do is make them remember and give them purpose.
Well, he is, but he's doing it in he's a less gentle way than he was doing before to the other people.
He is. I don't think he's run out of fucks, though.
But Brandon mentions, I was going to hit the annotations a little bit on this because he says, I knew Raoden had to have more difficulty with Sheor's band than with the other two. Quote unquote, defeating Karada and Tan happened quickly and with relative ease. If Sheor's band had not presented a problem, then the entire three gangs plot would have been unfulfilling. So in these chapters, I step up the danger from Sheor's crew. In the early drafts of the book, the danger wasn't present enough. In fact, that was one of the main comments the CEO of Tor, his publisher, gave me when he read Elantris. So I increased Sheor's numbers, giving them a larger percentage of Tan's men and a larger number to begin with, and made them more dangerous in the way they attacked. So that's interesting. I remember we talked about after the first two gangs went down. It's like this is not as the gang storyline has not been as satisfying as we had hoped, basically. Yeah. So if, and we don't know for sure this is the end, but if this was the end of the Sheor section, would you feel it was more satisfying, or does it still seem a little fast?
It doesn't seem fast, but it does still seem somewhat unsatisfying.
Okay, that's fair.
That's assuming this brings everyone across, though. Like, I feel like Sheor's still gonna be a little shit.
Yeah. She's gonna be like, they're gonna have to like train her to not be terrible, basically. She's gonna be it's been so long I don't even remember her name. Who's the girl we all hate that was in Debris?
Orianne.
Orianne.
Yeah.
She's gonna be the Orianne of the piece.
Mm.
Boo. We don't need any Orianne. We don't need no Orianne. We don't need no... Hey, thought control. No, that totally works because she does that. See?
What does she have? The Wig of Godhood?
Yeah, the Wig of Godhood. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Mustache of leadership, Wig of Godhood. Corn of servitude.
Corn of servitude. Okay, I guess let's get into...
Well, Karada had the Children of Hope.
It's true.
Yeah, that's fair.
Child of Hope. unicorn of servitude. With our powers combined, we make Captain Elantris.
Predicaments, people. What do we think is going to happen next?
Well, I think we already sort of talked about, oh my god, I forgot his name, Hrathen's potion poison situation. So I won't touch more on that one. Bit of a wild one. I'm going to throw my hand up for a wild one. Lucal made so much money off his sour melon trade deal that he will be king.
Ooh, that would be a good deal if it was like that big. Nice. Okay, I like it.
They went too far the other way.
Have all the sour melons.
Only I have sour melon.
Yeah, Sheor's band. I think there will be many of them that will come across, and Raoden's numbers will increase. But I think that gang will probably still present a problem. I think too. I think I said last week or the week before that I didn't think Hrathen was gonna heal. Like they might get everyone else to heal, but I think he'll be different. Oh my god, where was I going with that? Shit. Seriously, baby brain. This happens to me when I'm driving. I forget where I am, and I'm like, oh, I don't know where I am or where I'm going. I can't remember. Terrible. Oh my god. Gone.
It's okay.
You were.
I'll think about it.
So
if I remember.
all the way through your pregnancy, you were fine, but it's just now after you've had the baby, your brain's.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely losing it through the pregnancy, but no, it's genuinely like a switch just turns off in my brain, and I'm like, I have no idea. Hrathen won't survive because he's different. He's feeling it differently. Everyone else will survive. Oh, no, I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll circle back to me at the end if I remember what it was.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, we've talked a little bit about throughout some of our predictions, but I'll just maybe go over and reiterate some of the stuff I was saying. So, like, I don't think the Raoden stuff is coincidental, him becoming Elantrian and now Hrathen becoming Elantrian. I while I understand and can see the likelihood of what Dak and Jamie have said about Hrathen, I really do think he has become an Elantrian, and that somehow that potion does that. Because what worse thing could he have done to Dilloff? Because he had originally intended for Dilloff. What worse thing could he have done to Dilloff than make him an Elantrian?
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's very possible that was done to Raoden on purpose, and that Hrathen did it to himself on purpose for some ulterior motive. What that motive is, I don't know. I mean, I want to believe, because right before he drank the potion, he was basically trying to see if he could really push his faith out, not maybe push, but maybe really trust in his god again. And so, I almost think that he drank the poison to basically test his faith and test his god, to say, I am putting my entire life in your hands, because I want to believe in you so much, to have that zeal and faith again, that I'm going to drink this poison, and I'm going to pray to you to bring me back out of this Elantrian state that I'm going to put myself into. So I almost think he's coming more from a motivation of he wants to believe so badly that his god can do anything, that he's now put himself in this situation on purpose to try to prove it. And that probably is not going to work out well for him. So my predicament for him is that when he eventually comes to the conclusion that he is now an Elantrian and it's not going to end, that he will get to know Spirit and then join his cause, because at least it's a productive cause within Elantris. So I think that's how he's going to kind of fit in to the plot. In the same token, I think that Sarene, even though she's saying, "Oh, I'll never see Spirit again," I think I still am holding out hope that the two of them are going to get together, and he will finally disclose that he is Raoden, and then that's going to be enough for her to basically want to help him as much as possible and do whatever she can. And predicament long game, I think the foreshadowing and the goofiness of the thing about her dad saying, don't overthrow the king, and then them joking maybe she'll be queen. I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think like Hrathen's going to be like the leader of Elantris at the end of the book, and I think Sarene's going to be the leader of Erelon. And like they'll rule in this weird like tandem way. It's like Hrathen's leading from Elantris, she's leading from Erelon, and because they're married, and it works out. That's what I'm hoping long game happens at the end of the book.
That's interesting. That would be kind of a cool setup at the end, where she kind of gets her own country, but also she's like still kind of whatever with her Elantrian husband or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I've got two theories, and they both revolve around Hrathen. Like I said before, I think that Hrathen's potion was specifically designed for him to do a double blind, where it's like, oh, I've become an Elantrian, but then I prayed so hard I healed. I think originally he was going to give it to Dilaf, and now he's realized Dilaf is too dangerous to let him become the Messiah, so he's decided to do it himself. But he still has those other vials. I think Joe was right. It's like he can't sneak a vial in to cure him, so I don't think any of those vials are for a cure. They must all be for other people he's going to dose up. So I feel like he might try and spike the three people who are in most opposition to his cause. He might try and get rid of Omen, Iadon, and Sarene with those vials and make them all Elantrians. And then once they heal and come out of it, he can just say like, "I prayed for you," and make it, and it looks like all his plan. And then because they're the three that are most strongly opposed to him, I think. Yeah. So like that's his plan. Like if he says, "Oh, you've healed because I prayed for you," like publicly they might have to, like he's trying to convince public opinion that because of him they've returned, and so like then that like his main opposition like was pretty much forced to convert to his side.
Interesting.
So like, I feel like that's a bit of a wild one, but I think that's probably where that goes. The other thing that I had is like before that all happens, he's obviously got to have some time in Elantris. I feel like he's going to wander around a bit. He's going to come across Sheor's men, and now that Sheor's power over them has broken, he might set himself up as the new godlike figure for them. He's like, follow me, like, and like, and if he does turn back from Elantrian to a normal looking fella, and they all see it, like he might convince them all. It's like, you can be like me if you follow Shu-Dereth and renounce your wicked ways or whatever. And then he's got an army of Elantrian beastmen to follow along and do his will. So
that would be dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that may have been my favorite one. Just the picture of like he's gonna walk out like the gates of Elantris and be like, "My minions," and then like the beastmen are follow. Oh, that's intimidating.
Yeah, he's like, I prayed hard and now I am well. You can do the same, and I will protect you. And he brings them with him. Oof. And imagine Dilaf's reaction to that.
Yeah, no, he would not be happy about that.
Dilaf, these people have pledged themselves to shoot Derek, and Dilaf's like, I have to burn them all, and Hrathen just goes, no, I've sworn them all as my Arteths, and Dilaf goes, oh fuck.
Like, actually, you see Lefty over there, the one on all four. He's the new head Arteth of the chapel, so you'll be reporting to him from now on.
And maybe that will give these people singular purpose to take their mind off the hunger. I don't know.
I mean, if he takes them out, he can give them food. So
yeah.
When I was reading these chapters, I had a moment where I don't know, my brain just turned off because that's the thing I do now. And I'd read something. There was a line, and it was something that was like Dilaf was like a crafty Arteth or something. And I don't know. I really misread it, and I got the word Arteth was bitch. So he's a crafty bitch. I was like, okay. Now I've just got this image of Hrathen coming out with his Arteth. It aren't Arteths. It's like, my bitches.
Hrathen, you got real sassy all of a sudden. Okay.
I know. Every time I read it, I giggle. Every time I read that word, I just giggle a little bit. Oh no. This is what's in my head now.
He kicks in the door of the chapel with the Elantrian beastmen following him, looks up at Dilaf and goes, "Who's the crafty one now, bitch?"
Yep. Now every time the word Arteth shows up, that's gonna be in my head too. You've ruined it.
Yep. If it's ruined for me, it must be ruined for all.
That's fair. Okay, we have 3 emails this week. 2 of them were actually from last week, but the computer died, so we didn't get to read them. So here we go. Also, to remind everyone, we are recording several episodes kind of close together. So if you are sending an email, maybe a few weeks before you hear it, because we're banking some episodes so we can take a break of a few weeks later without you guys missing out on much. So the first one is from Daniel. And Daniel says, "Hi all, I just finished episode 13, and Jamie got the Say's Hero of Ages prediction right. Huge. She's had a few huge predicaments. Love the show and making my way through it." And I replied to Daniel and said, "Yeah, that was a good one. Jamie's really sharp with some of her predictions." And he replied, "I thought it was equally impressive how cool you handled it and gave nothing away." Which, thanks, Daniel.
Episode 13's really early.
Yep. Yeah, that's the one that when we had the best of the whole, like the 3 best predicaments from the whole series, that was the one I pulled out for you where you're like, "I think maybe the Hero of Ages will be Say's." And you were like, "I forgot I said that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, I forgot I said that.
Been a while.
Also, it's like it's going to be months before he gets up to this episode and actually hears his email come in.
Oh, yeah,
And
probably.
that's when he'll go, "Oh, I forgot I sent that."
I forgot I said that. Exactly. Yep. It all full circle once again.
Yep. He's like, "Oh, it's me from the past. Oh yeah, I forgot I said that."
I remember me. I like me. Our next email is from it says Bear Music, Bair Music. Okay. "Hey yo y'all, my name's Baird." Yes, that's my actual name, and yes, I enjoy hearing people fumble over it. It's Baird. I assume that's Baird. That's how we pronounce the town near here that has that same name.
Yeah, that's true.
I've decided to give your
baby is Bairn, and that's Bairn. So
Oh yeah, Bairn. Sure, I've heard that one too.
Yep.
Wee Bairn. Yeah. I've decided to give your podcast a 1-star rating. The hosts are trite, and I couldn't make it past the first 5 minutes of episode 1. Just kidding.
I get it.
I get it.
This guy did the baby break.
Yep. I gotta say, this podcast is a godsend for me. I saw a post on Reddit a while back and decided to give it a listen about 2 weeks ago. Today I finished the most recent episode, so I've been listening basically nonstop. I work in a warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's a lot
Every
of...
episode in 2 weeks?
That's a lot of well done.
When did he
I,
sleep?
exactly. I don't even want to hear me that much. No.
I mean, I'm grateful, but how?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, maybe he's one of the people listening to a 1.5 speed. That could help.
True.
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting that's a thing.
I work in I work in warehousing, and so for about 9+ hours every day, I have headphones on while I box things. And this gave me something interesting to listen to while I toil like a ska. Sadly, no Kelsier's coming to burn down the warehouse. Or maybe thankfully, there's no Kelsier to burn it down, as I would be out of a job.
Yeah, I was about to say, also, I hope you're getting paid and you're not actually a ska who's just doing it because you have to.
Yeah.
Is there a man in the warehouse with a whip?
Everybody work. Everybody work.
Mean man, whip us. We are slaves.
Oh, gosh. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Show me the money.
Pikachu, please don't sue.
Oh, man. Clerks cartoon is the best thing ever. Only 6 episodes. And honestly, I rewatched them not that long ago, and it's very 90s, early 2000s in, like, the gay jokes and stuff, which I was like, ooh, that wouldn't go over very well today.
Yeah, those parts not so good, but the crazy, random, hilarious stuff. Excellent.
Anyway, he says, I produce music as a secondary job, and I just got to say, I'm looking forward to hearing spook rap. If you need a beat, let me know, and I'll sample y'all singing It Sucks to Be a Ska or something.
I hate to break it to you, but I gave up on that long ago.
We've moved away from spook, so Joe gave up.
As soon as I didn't have to hear about spook anymore, I didn't hear about spook anymore.
Like, I forgot him entirely. You just wait till he comes back.
Yeah, he and Kelsey will be in the background of some book, and I'll be like, oh, hey, it's that guy I hate.
He's gonna be the main character of Era 2. Didn't I mention that?
Oh, no.
Anyway, jokes aside, I do have a couple things I want to bring up. First off, Joe, in my opinion, your opinion on the Mistborn trilogy is a bit harsh. My reason for saying this is because in the end, the way the podcast is set up changes the pacing, feel, and ingestion of the book. I think if the first time through you had just read it cover to cover, you probably would have had a whole different experience. Reading it through this way is a bit like watching a movie at half speed and then judging it like you would any other movie. Maybe you get a more in-depth look and missed some things other people wouldn't have picked up, but there is a reason the movie isn't at half speed in the first place. Maybe your opinion wouldn't change if you read it like a normal book, but I recommend you at least read them normally if you get a chance and compare. No offense intended.
No, and I don't take any offense. And I have considered rereading them through normally, but I'll tell you this. Having the hindsight, like, yeah, I'm going to make it all the way through the books because I already know what happens if I reread them. But if I had read them at normal speed, I probably would have not picked up the second book. At the end of the first book, I was not really that interested in reading the next one. But because of the podcast, I was like, well, I gotta read the next one. So to be fair, I probably would never have made it through the trilogy.
Adding on to that, the ending of Hero of Ages simply sits right with me. I remember reading it through the first time and feeling like it sat right. One thing I love about Brandon's books is that it isn't always hero wins, everything is awesome, everyone is fine. There's a cost, and of all the characters that could have died in the end, I think Vin and Elend were the right ones to go. Except maybe Spook. Mutual hate there. I call him Spoop in my head.
Okay.
Random thought. Do you think Inquisitors are essentially the punks of the Mistborn world? They have all the piercings and stuff after all. Maybe they get crazy rad spike modifications. Also, do you think spiking someone's drink in Mistborn is literal?
I don't think spiking their drink is literal, and I always thought of Inquisitors as the Cenobites of the Mistborn world. That's a Hellraiser reference for you if you're into Hellraiser. I watched the first one, and I never watched any of the other ones because I didn't like it.
This is getting a bit long, so I'll wrap it up. Hope you don't mind reading all this. Loving it so far. My coworkers have asked me multiple times what I'm laughing at, and my brother finds you guys hilarious. Keep it up. Don't stop. Interested to see how you guys deal with Stormlight. Now, those are some very thick books. I'll probably send an email again next week if I find time, and I'll definitely buy some of the shirts if you make them. Here's hoping you make a Yedden deserved it shirt or something equally terrible.
It's just a head on a spike.
And the sign off here.
Deserved it.
That would be a pretty grotesque shirt.
Yeah. Hey, he said he'd buy it.
The sign off is till the time of Joe reading Dinosaur Erotica.
Oh God.
So you're never gonna write again, basically, is what you're saying.
And then a few days later, Baird sent us a second email that was just an image, and I will pop it into. Oh, hold on, I gotta fix this. Let me see if I can.
Okay, I gotta be looking right at my screen, otherwise I'm gonna miss it.
I'll pop it into the chat that we have going on over there.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's a better place to put it.
So for listeners, it is like a little meme thing with a guy colored up like Kelsier who's shrugging, and it says, "When the 11th metal doesn't work," and the Kelsier character says, "Guess I'll die." Which,
I like the Mistborn cloak.
Yes, it's a very well done Mistborn cloak, given that this looks like it was colored in paint.
It's done in image paint, yes.
I also like how blonde the guy is.
Kelsier's blonde.
He's gone Super Saiyan.
That was my
exactly.
first thought. When I first saw the thumbnail of the picture, I was like, did he send us a Super Saiyan? What's going on here?
Yeah. Mustache.
You're going to have to make this the image or something for
I totally should.
Podcast.
It'll make no sense until people I like that. Okay, we'll do that. If I remember, because this will be like weeks from now that I'm uploading this one. But anyway, thank you, Baird. That was awesome. I got a real kick out of the picture. Last email from Michael. Hello, Sanderlanche crew. Glad to hear the whole team is back on the show. I was wondering if you guys had any ideas why Dilloff seems to have such a bone to pick with the Elantrians. Also, Data, you beautiful bastard, the way you keep positing ideas and suggestions and then going, I don't know, when you know exactly what's going to happen. I love it, and it's hilarious every time, especially when the rest of the team picks up on your hints at a later episode. Great episode as always.
Yeah, yuck it up.
You guys are a great way to start my Monday commute. Wasn't until the time of next. Colo, Michael. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, it's I'm sure it's really great for everybody else. I'm over here like Spook is king. What a kick in the dick.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, those were our emails. Thank you, everyone. If you would like to send us an email, which, as I said, it may be a while before you hear. Sorry, bear with us. The email address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. You could find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all sorts of various places like that. For next time, we are going to read 4 chapters. So we're going back down a little bit. Chapters 32, 33, 34, and 35. Although the week after that is 6 chapters again. So,
Hey.
But anyway, so for anyone following along for the next episode, 4 chapters, 32 through 35, we'll see what interesting things happen next. We'll see if the pace keeps up and more crazy stuff is going on, or maybe we slow back down a little bit after the craziness of this week. Well, yeah, music by Miracle of Sound, definitely. But I guess I was gonna let everyone know that not next week, but the week after that, we will not have a new episode for you guys. We're having to skip several weeks of recording, but hopefully for you guys, it'll only be one episode that gets skipped. And I want to let you guys know well ahead of time, because I always appreciate it when a podcast I like does that. So we will be here next week. The week after that, we're going to take a break. So.
Yep. I'll be traveling far, far away.
Other than that, 4 chapters and wasing to the time of next, everyone.
My name's Iadon. Get up, get out in the city of dreams. Get up, get out.